Hi, you're watching Preppy Kitchen, where I, John Cannell, teach you how to make delicious homemade dishes to share with your family and friends. Today we're making a chocolate crinkle cookie. This is like one of my all-time favorites, first of all, and it's amazing on a holiday platter, but it's the perfect anytime treat too. It's like soft, fudgy amazingness inside, just a tiny thin shell of crispness, and this all happens magically in the oven. There's no decorating, there's no fuss, no muss, no worry. Let's go. First off, we're gonna be sifting 2 cups or 240 grams of all-purpose flour into our bowl. In case you're wondering, I am of course filming in a rental house right now while the remodel is dragging on. I'm very excited for it to be finished. We had to move out and we're in here nice and quiet. The kids can have some peaceful moments without all the banging and of course the dust. So let's get that in there. You can use measuring cups too, but let me tell you, you've got to measure flour correctly. So if you're using a cup, you got to fluff it up and you can't pack it in. I have a whole video on how to measure flour. Click up here for that. It seems so simple, but so many things have gone wrong because of incorrectly measured flour. If you want to know a secret, growing up in America, we really don't use scales that much. Don't ask me why. We just don't. We use cups. But I was watching the Great British Bake Off and they were just dumping ingredients into a bowl. I'm like, what kind of magic is this? How can they just eyeball it? What kind of wizard of baking have I found myself watching? But it's because there was a scale under the bowl like I have right now. So they made that magic happen. It was so easy. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm buying a scale. I'm not gonna be using cups that much. I still use cups a little bit. That's 2 cups of flour. Now 2 teaspoons of baking powder. It's our leavening agent. And 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt. Try and use like a sea salt. Salt isn't salt. There's different flavors of salt. Some of it's a little bit of BS, let me tell you, but some of it's real. If you use iodized salt, it's a little bit harsher than non-iodized, like a sea salt. And another part is like the size of the salt grain. You can get luxurious giant salt flakes, or like little tiny super fine granules. They're both good for different things. All right, so we can give this a quick whisk and set it aside. Okay, now for the mixer. This recipe is interesting, one, because it really is a 2-day affair. Day 1, you make the dough. Day 2, you bake the chilled dough. It's not one of those recipes where oh, you could chill it if you want. This dough needs to chill. There's no butter in it, it's oil-based. And today I'm using vegetable oil, but on the sly, I've made this with olive oil and it's delicious. You can't really taste the olive oil because the chocolate is so strong. But if you enjoy olive oil or if you have extra olive oil at home, go ahead and use that too. Into the bowl of your stand mixer, fitted with a paddle attachment, you're adding in 1 3/4 cups of granulated sugar. Delicious. Carefully add in 1/2 cup or 120 milliliters of vegetable oil. But like I said, you could also use olive oil in this. Let's give this a mix. That looks so crazy. I'm used to seeing butter in here, but this is like a nice fluffy cloud of delicious. All right, into a separate bowl, I'm just cracking 4 room temperature eggs. Just doing this so I don't have to worry about any shells going in here. There we go. Okay, now that, oh my gosh, I just found a shell. Not today. Anyways, the eggs are prepped, no shells. That would be a not cool surprise. This got fluffed up. I'm gonna add in 1 cup of cocoa powder right now, and I'm using a nice Valrhona cocoa powder. You can use any brand that you'd like. I like to use a Dutch processed one because it's a little bit mellower and you get like a darker color, but it's up to you. All right, carefully mix this. On low. That is like some chocolatey realness. So we're gonna scrape the bowl down. This is like the rarest of cookies where both Brian and I agree on it being amazing. Normally he likes things soft, pillowy, cakey cookies, and I, as you know if you watch the channel, love a crisp cookie. But here, this is a fudgy cookie, which is like the happy medium. It's like a little brownie bite. It's delicious. Mix, mix, mix. We're gonna add the eggs in 1 at a time and scrape the bowl down occasionally. Well, by 1 at a time, I mean 2, and just add the last one in there. It's fine. Okay, this is a little bit messy, but let's scrape, scrape, scrape. And right now, I want to add that you could plop in a teaspoon or 1/2 teaspoon or a pinch, whatever you'd like, of espresso powder. So this will help kind of bring out the chocolatey flavor. You're not using that much, so you're not gonna taste the coffee. It just amps up the chocolate. I'll let that run for a minute. Be right back. Okay, right now I can add in 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. If you're not a fan of vanilla and chocolate, you can totally leave it out. I like the extra little kick of flavor. All right, now the last part for today, dumping in that flour mixture. That was some nice dumping. Let that mix in there. Once it's getting close, we can scrape the bowl down. This is gonna be some liquidy nonsense. You're like, what the heck? This doesn't look anything like a cookie. How dare you? But the key is it actually needs to chill overnight. And by the way, this recipe could totally be done with a hand mixer and a bowl. I actually had a really nice hand mixer or 2 in the past, but I had the worst luck and they broke. And I have so many gadgets hanging around, and plus now we're moving back and forth. Never replaced them, just use the stand mixer. But stand mixers can do a lot of things. But hand mixers can do a lot of things. You don't have to have the stand mixer. Okay, that's good. So you can see here, like, what? This doesn't look like a cookie. This looks like cake batter, but it's gonna turn into the most amazing cookie ever. Crinkle cookies, I feel, are really pigeonholed into Christmas time, but they are an anytime delicious treat. They don't have to live in the holidays. You could do them whatever you want. This gets covered with plastic, foil, paper, whatever you want to do, and refrigerated overnight. Overnight? Overnight! This isn't like a 1-hour situation. It really needs to chill all the way through. And then the next day you'll come back to an amazing surprise. You could chill this for a few days, by the way. Just put it in like a covered container with less air exposure. And you know, it'll stay good in the fridge for like 3 or 4 days. Into the fridge, and I'll be back tomorrow. Maybe in a different colored shirt. Good morning. So my pie dough? Good morning. So my cookie dough chilled overnight, and you can see it's still not that hard. It's just firmer. This is a really, really soft cookie dough. You can use a big tablespoon or a spoon, whatever you want. I'm using a cookie scoop just to pull off enough dough, which I will then roll into a ball. You want it to be like about 1 inch. That's way bigger. About 1 inch in diameter. And what you can do is do an assembly line, like place it on here, or you can roll it directly in that powdered sugar and then place it. That's probably the best thing to do. That powdered sugar is so important for the crinkle cookie look. Otherwise, it would just be like a chocolate brownie cookie. So keep rolling, rolling, rolling. They don't all have to be the same size, but just try to eyeball about 1 inch wide. Your hands will start getting crazy. I'm gonna tell you this ahead of time, but just take regular wash breaks. See, look at that. If you want like a twist on the classic, here's what you could do. Buy some freeze-dried berries. You can get freeze-dried strawberries or raspberries or whatever, then whiz them in a blender or a food processor with some powdered sugar. This will make a nice pink berry sugar, which I actually made for my beet cake, which you can click up here for. That chocolate beet cake was divine, if a little bit unusual. And then you can have like a pink chocolate crinkle cookie. You could also just mix the powdered sugar with a bit of cocoa powder and sift it together, and you'll have like a milky chocolate one. It's also good. Giving these like a secondary toss because it's a little humid today. And by a little, I mean it's like 100% humidity. That powdered sugar was disappearing, so feel free to give them a second toss. These go into the oven at 350 Fahrenheit for about 10 to 12 minutes. You'll see them kind of puff up, the crinkles happen, and then they're ready to take out. They will not bake fully in the oven. They're gonna continue baking a bit after you take them out. That's why they have that amazing, like luscious brownie texture when you bite into them. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to share these cookies. Look how perfect that is. And they just come out like that. There's no decorating. There's no like worrying about getting it right. It just happens magically. By the by, it helps that they're like so fudgy and chocolatey inside, but with like a little bit of a crispness on the outside. It's kind of amazing. If you like this recipe, check out my cookie playlist. It has all of my favorite cookies, and I know you're gonna find some new favorites there. But in the meantime, it's time for a bite. Oh, it's really good. Oh gosh, I can't even describe how good this flavor is. You just need to make them. They're so easy. Make them, bake them, enjoy. If you like this video, hit that like button and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.